Great Plant Girl here. I built myself a planter and I wanted to show you some of the parts that went into it. So after the box was formed, I ran drip tube up through the pots that I had placed into my wooden planter. And then I put in some landscape fabric just to cover up the holes in the pots so that the soil didn't go through. I put a little slice in the landscape fabric just to wrap it around the drip tube lines. And then I filled it with soil. Good quality potting mix is what I used for this. I was careful to keep the tubes up and out of the way as I filled the pots so that they didn't wind up being buried in the end or full of soil. And then I added some blood and bone to my potting soil just to give the plants a really good start. Mixed it in well. And then I just gave the whole thing a good soaking with water. The soil was quite dry, so I just wanted to soak it down pretty well. So I've got the planter boxes filled with soil and I have the drip tube run up through the bottom there. And now it's time to get them filled with some plants. So what I've decided to do is take two of these Browallia and put them at the back. If you've never grown Browallia, I highly recommend it for a shade to part shade type plant. They get a massive mounding habit. Well, massive, maybe not massive, but they get quite large mounded. They do really well. You can put like one in a 12-inch pot and you'd probably have a pretty nice plant. Let's see what it says. It says height 12 to 16 inches and spacing minimum 8 inches, maximum 10 inches. So if you want them to kind of come together and touch, 8 inches apart. If you want some space between them, 10 inches apart. This one is called Endless Flirtation. And I don't know if the camera's picking up, but it has just a hint of purple on the way. Actually, it looks more purple from what I'm seeing on the camera here in the shade. And the ones look more white. So as you get closer, you see that purple more. And then you can also get one that's that purple, but all over the whole flower is what I've seen as the other ones. So this kind of white shades or more of a purple. So I'm going to put those kind of centered at the back of these planters. And then I have the Impatiens that I started in the house. These are they're supposed to be Red Starburst now. I like these Impatiens. They're pretty, but they're not what I thought they were going to be, because it was supposed to be one that was supposed to be kind of more red with a white highlight. And one was supposed to be white with a red highlight, and I would say these are pink and not very consistent at all in their coloring. So there's the two varieties. So this one was Cherry Splash and these were the Red Starburst, but they're still beautiful and I'll use them, and so that's what I'm going to put in, and I think they'll actually look really nice with that purple hue on the Browallia. So I'm going to put these in a combination through the front and sides there. And then I have a couple of begonias that I started kind of late in the season. They were just in a mixed pack, so I'm really not sure what colors I'm going to get out of these. But I'm going to put one, I think, kind of centered in the front in each of these planters, and then I think that should fill these planters in quite well. I'm not sure if these begonias will flower for me or not. Like I said, I started them late, but we're going to give them a try and put them back here. Now this area gets nice bright morning sun, and from I think about 11 o'clock on it's pretty much in shade. So all these plants will really like those conditions, and they all like a nice moist but not wet area. So I think this will be just perfect. So I'm going to get them planted up. I ripped the top of this peat pot down off the begonia just so that it's not wicking moisture up to the top of the soil and away from the roots. But I find begonias like to be a little bit more compacted in the roots, so I'm going to leave that on. So I have to work a bit to get the roots out, and it should make them feel just a little bit like they're having a little bit of closer quarters in this big pot here. And I've just barely covered that, the rhizome. You can see the impatiens have developed a nice root system. So impatiens are usually around 6 to 9 inches apart. So these are spaced a little bit closer, but they're a little bit further behind. We don't have a long season, so I think they'll be okay like that. So I just alternated the two varieties of impatiens here. So I have the red starburst, and then the cherry splash, red starburst, cherry splash, red starburst, cherry splash, red starburst. And I'm just putting them around the outside, starting from the back corner and up across the front. All these plants have been sitting outside, hardening off for a while now, waiting for me to have time and the weather to cooperate to get them in. And I built this wooden planter, so these ones were actually waiting for me to get that job done. But okay, well, the tubing is different than what actually came with this drip set, so I'll have to find some better stakes, because that one doesn't want to stay down, that's for sure. It's just a little bit stiffer, but that's what it looks like right now. I'll get the other one potted up, and then I'll let you have a good look at how it all turned out. Okay, so I think that looks very nice. I think once those plants fill in, you have a nice lush planting there. It's not quite 18 inches off the ground, that the box there, so it's a nice area. There's chairs that sit in front of it, but you'll see the flowers, and I think it's going to fill in and look quite pretty. I noticed one thing I am going to do. I'm going to bring you in and just show you. Some of this Browallia has gotten just a little bit on the leggy side. So all I'm going to do is take these long leggy branches, and I'm just going to come back to the top of where there's some leaf growth coming out, and I'm just going to snip them off just above that. They'll branch out and fill out and look a lot better for having that done. So it might sacrifice a few flowers right now. There's lots on here. This blooms prolifically all season, and it'll make it a nicer plant as the season progresses. So I'm just going to go through, trim some of those back. And I'm not taking much of the plant off. Like, I'm maybe taking 1/4 to 1/3 of the plant and removing it, if that. So it's not going to harm the plant. It will help it to fill in and just look nicer. I'll just show you quick. You can probably tell, but I'll just show you. These are just planters that I bought at Home Depot, I think. And I've just made a cutout in this in this bench here for them to sit in, just to raise them up off the ground. And it gives a little space where I can set some things, or someone could even have a seat that's at a good level for that. So that's just an idea, something that you could do to bring a little color to a shady spot. Those plants will all enjoy a nice shade to part shade area. Now keep in mind, shade doesn't mean darkness. It just means, 4 hours or less of sunlight in a day. And generally shade plants prefer the cooler hours of sun, not the strong heat of midday. If you have an area that has real filtered light, like say through a tree, that has a loose canopy or something, then that's another great place to put these plants. But thanks for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of my videos. Bye.